Hello, assalamu alaikum. How are you, friends? Hope all of you are doing great. So, as you can see, today is 26th May and your exam is on 11th June. We are 15 or 16 days behind. Okay, so today video will be I will be solving 2000 December 2018 questions. Question number 2, which is a risk management question. The reason why I'm starting with a risk management question is because definitely you will get a question on risk management, and trust me, risk management is one of the easiest question to start with. Okay, and before I start the paper, I wanted to tell you a very good news for all the ACCA students who is giving exams on CBE platform, that now, as you can see, when you go to this AFM, now I go to AFM or any paper, you go to ACC official resources and you go to the past exams. When you see, the past exams are very limited, only 3 or 4 exams you have. But what about the other papers which you don't, which you cannot do in CBE platform, right? So you must be writing it. So great news is that this blank workspace I have come across yesterday. I have come across this a post in LinkedIn. Someone posted that she had been using this blank workspace, so you can use the blank workspace to do any questions, right? You have to keep the question paper in front of you, or the past paper. You have to keep referring back to that question, right? Definitely the questions will not be in exhibits, but you do have the response options. That means you can type your answer in Word or you can do your calculations in Excel. But the question, you can do any number of questions for any paper. This is possible using the blank workspace. So isn't it a great, right? Now you don't have to waste all your time writing. Some questions writing, some questions which are available in CB, you are doing CB. Now you can do any questions in CB platform. Okay, so that's what I wanted to tell here. And now we can go to the paper. Past exam December 2018. I will assign. So December 2018. Since I know all this introduction and all, I have went through this right in my first video, introduction to the CB platform for AFM. I have explained to you all this, so I'm not going to waste my time reading all this. But if you want, in the exam you can read. 10 minutes will be given to you, so but I'm not going to waste my time. I'm just going to skip by clicking next. All the differences we know. This is what happens when you don't view the entire screen. Okay. So again, all this is not needed. It's in question 2. So question 2, section B. So this is the question which I'm going to solve today. Okay. Uh, this is a risk management. I'm not going to read the whole question. So make sure that you go through the whole question before you attempt this with me. I'm just going to show you how to do a question using both spreadsheet or word processor. Okay. Because exchange rate risk management is a question where you have an option. Either you can do in word processor, either you can do in spreadsheet. Right. I'm going to use both and show you. Whichever method you feel comfortable to do, you can do. There's a choice. You're not restricted to anyone. So it's about a company. Okay, this is some background information you can read. Okay, so basically in this they are saying that they are going to get a receipt. Okay, this company is US based and he's going to receive a foreign receipt which is Swiss franc, which is 12.3 million Swiss franc. Okay, as you can see here, 12.3 Swiss franc he's going to receive. So now they are going to use future, option and forward, the 3 hedging techniques. That's what it's explained here. Now I'm going to go to the 2 hedging details. So in hedging details you will be needing all this. You are given the spot, the 3 and the 6 month forward, and the future and the option. Okay. And then we have the non-executive debtors comment. But this will be using it for our last part, last requirement. And how do I know that it's for my last requirement? Through experience, of course. When you do a lot of questions, you will see that pattern. That when when you go through the exhibits, you know that definitely this exhibits will be for some last requirements. Okay, so now I'm going to go through the requirements. So first requirement, I'm going to solve part A. Part A says that using the exchange traded derivatives, evaluate which of the following will give the higher receipt. Okay, when the options are and are not exercised. Please understand the question. Evaluate which of the exchange traded derivatives would give the company the higher receipt, considering scenarios when the options are and are not exercised. So you have to do one where you have exercised the option, and you have to compare the other scenario where you have not exercised the option. Okay, but the word says exchange traded derivatives. You have to pay attention to this word. Why am I saying exchange traded derivative? Because out of forward, future and option, forward is not an exchange traded derivatives. Then what is it? It is over the counter derivative. That's why we are not using forward here. So if you have used forward and started calculating, comparing with futures and options, then you have wasted your time in doing forwards. Forward is not an exchange traded derivative. That's why they have given you exchange traded derivative. Here they didn't tell. Usually what do they say? They tell future, option and forward. They specify that using each of these three which gives you the highest receipt. But here they have told exchange traded derivative. Second, discuss the benefits and drawbacks in using forward compared with over-the-counter currency options, and explain why the company may prefer to use exchange traded derivatives rather than over-the-counter derivative to hedge foreign currency risk. So this is a theory part. I'm not going to do this part B. I'm not going to write the answer. That you can do it. It's easy. The drawbacks and the benefits are forward. You have to compare it with the exchange traded derivative. But I will definitely show you how to go about answering this question. Part C. Explain the non-executive director. Do you see my exhibit 3? I didn't even read the requirements by then, but I know it was for the last requirement because that is the last exhibit. So I know one, it will be for the last, or one will be for the last requirement, definitely. So explain the non-executive director. Explain to the non-executive director. The word here, if you can see this and just see the exhibit 3, it is non-executive director's comment. So explain to the non-executive director how the mark to market process would work for the Swiss franc future, including the significance of the data supplied by the Treasury Department. Illustrate your explanations with calculations showing what would happen on the first day using the data supplied by the Treasury Department. So this is about mark to market. Definitely we are going to do this. Explanations and calculations. Okay. Let us start with first. So keep the hedging details in front of you and then open. Now the question comes as, what am I going to use? Spreadsheet or word processor? So first I'm going to do this answer in the word, and then I'm going to do it in the spreadsheet. But definitely if you ask for my recommendation, I would recommend that it's better to do it in word processor, because calculations, we don't have so much of complex calculations like how we have for net present value, investment appraisal, that table of cash flows which we have to make, or like our acquisition or merger, or some other questions like reconstruction and reorganizations where we have to do the impact on the balance sheet. So like those, we don't have heavy calculations, right? It's just multiplication and division. So for that we can use a calculator. So if I have to recommend, I would say it's easier, faster to do it in word processor, the risk management question. But still, for some of you who have the habit of doing it in spreadsheet, I will also show you in spreadsheet. There's no harm, you can do it in any way. So first I'm going to start with what? Future. Definitely forward is out because it is exchange traded derivative. So when you start with future, you have to write, it is for part A. Okay, definitely first requirement. So write A, and then you have to write futures You can bold it out or you can leave it like that. It's your wish, does not matter. Okay, future. Now after you write future, what am I going to write? It's better that you write the duration of the time so that you don't get confused whether it's for 3 or 6 months. If you see here the hedging details, they have given you 3 and 6 months. Okay, we have to read here for the dates and all. Okay, so it is 30th November 2008 and they will pay on 31st May 2009. Okay, so just look, calculate the time. It is 6 months. So definitely they will be needing the 6 months future. Okay. So end company, I'm not writing the name of the company in full, but you do it. You cannot write short forms. You have to write the full. In order to save time, I'm just writing end company. It is understood that it is the name of the company. Will have. It is better to write the statement so that later it's clear that why you are choosing a 6 month future. Will have. You can write CHF or Swiss franc. Receipt. It's a receipt. Okay. In 6 months. 6 months time. And needs to hedge against the dollar strengthening or weakening. Straightening. I have explained you that concept. Dollar straightening, dollar weakening. What does it mean? I have made a video also very early when I was explaining you the futures and the forward. The currencies basically the currency hedging techniques, all options, futures and forward. I have explained you what does it mean. Okay, to hedge against dollar. Okay, straightening. So I start my future. It's always good that you always start by this. Okay, by this line, which currency is straightening or weakening, and you are taking a receipt in 6 months time or 3 months time. Mention the duration and whether it's to hedge, whether you are hedging against a weakening of a currency or straightening of a currency. It's always better to start this. Okay, next is you have to know whether you are going to sell future or buy future. That is the next. Okay, so I'm going to put number for you, but in the actual exam don't put numbers. It's not needed for you to explain how many steps you have to do for future. Number 2, what is it? You buy or sell future. What are you doing? Sell. You have to sell. Why? Look at the future. Where is it? I'm sorry, this is not required now. So whatever is not required, just close it down. Okay, don't keep unnecessary windows on your screen so that later you become confused. So let's go to the future. Forget about forward. 6 months time. Okay, December, March or June. So it was November. Which, and it ends on from November to May, right? So the closest to May is what? June future. So they are going to go for this future. The wait future. Let me highlight it. Okay, so the June future. And if you see the future, before you say buy or sell future, you have to see in which currency is the future is in. So it is US per Swiss franc. That means it is in Swiss franc. And you are receiving Swiss franc. Swiss franc is a foreign currency to you. So what do you have to do? You have to sell the Swiss franc to buy euro, a dollar. Okay. So future is in Swiss. So you are selling. You are selling Swiss franc. That means you are selling future. And with all these concepts, you have to be very clear first. You have to be very thorough with all these concepts. Sell, buy, you know, option, call or put option, which option you are selecting, the dates and all. You have to be a master, a pro at it before you attempt this question, any past paper question in full. Okay, so sell, you have to tell sell what, the currency you have to mention. That's why I'm writing these answers, because I want to show you the full answer. All this is important. You cannot make the answer shorter than this. You cannot eliminate any of these words. Okay, some answers, when you see the mark scheme, you have to write it as it is. As it is, you have to write. There is no way that you can make your sentence short. Okay, so you have to write sell, Swiss, future, and use. You have to write the date. Either you can write it as point 3 or write together. And use which future, June future, you have to write the dates. June future or June future contracts. Okay, I will just say use June future. That's it. So first and second, this has to be there. What is number 3? I'm again repeating, please don't write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in the exam. Okay, you can just write in the first line, second line, third line. It is understood. I will write this, make it bold. Okay, number 3, what is it? Before you actually do the calculations on future, you have to write these lines. Okay, you are getting marks, so don't underestimate all these lines. You are actually getting marks per line. Future number of contracts. Now you have to calculate. You can either write the full word number or you can write n a dot. It is understood that it is number of contracts. So number of contracts is equal to. Now what you can do is either you can use Excel. Okay. नहीं अंकल है फंसा. Okay, so what you can do is when you're calculating the number of contract, either you can use the Excel, okay, and then copy paste the number here, or you can directly start at calculating here, because what you need is you need the calculator definitely. So we'll take the calculator also out here. Okay, number of contracts. How do you calculate the number of contracts? The formulas and all is not needed. You can just directly start at putting the number, but you have to know the formula in your mind, okay, before you actually calculate the number of contract. What is it? What is the receipt? Write the currency. Always write the currency in terms of the number, so that it makes you easy which currency is it in. Later you might have to sometimes convert also. So CHF, it is 12.3 million. So I'm going to write the whole number, so that is easy for you to import it in your calculator. Some of you might get confused with the number of zeros. How many zeros actually needed if I put 12.3 million? So I'm putting it the whole number. Okay. So 12.3 million. Okay. Divide. There is no divide sign. This is the sign for divide. So divide. What is the contract size? If I open the contract size, it is 125,000. So 125,000 equal to, okay, I'm now going to use the calculator. You can use your own calculator or this calculator, but I'm going to show you to use this calculator. Okay, 12, 3 and 5 zeros, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Divide by 125,000. Enter 98.4. Okay, and if you are trying to copy paste, let's see, you cannot copy paste the number. Okay, you have to write the number as it is, 98 point. So you cannot copy paste from calculator, 98.4. 98.4, but mind you, some of you, what you do is, the moment you say 98.4 in the calculator, you don't write in the answer. What you do is equal to, you write the rounded figure, 98 contracts. Don't do that. You have to write the fraction. You have to write the decimal number, the actual number which you are getting. Then you have to show, say, then you have to show, then it's a 98. Don't straightly write 98 without writing 98.4. You have to write that 98.4, the actual number, because the 98.4 you might need it later sometimes. Okay, for over hedging and under hedging, it will tell you whether you have over hedged or under hedged. Okay, say 98 hedging. Okay, so this is important. Now next, this line is needed when there's an under hedging. It's not hedged properly using future, then this fourth line is needed, otherwise you can skip. In this case it is needed because it is not the proper number. So whenever a decimal number is there, it tells you, what does it tell? That means there's either an under hedging or an over hedging. You have hedged more or you have hedged less. In this case, looking at this number, can you tell me what is it? You have to use number of contract which is 98.4, but you are actually using 98, which is less than 98.4. So it means you are not fully hedging using future, under hedged. What should you do with that under hedged? What should you do with under hedged? You cannot keep it as it is. You have to hedge it. You have to hedge it using what? Can you use options? No. Can you use future? No. What can you use? Forward. Because forward is over the counter option. You can use it, customize it, and hedge. That's why you are using forward. So remainder to be hedged. This you have to write. Okay, when you are using when unhedged is the underhedged amount or unhedged amount, you are using it, you are hedging it using forward, you actually have to write the statement. That line has to be written. You just cannot use forward and put some numbers. Okay, so remainder to be hedged on the forward. How much? How much you have to hedge on the forward? Yes, CHF. Okay, what you can do is you can just copy paste it here. Copy. See, minus. So this is the total amount of receipt which has to be hedged. Okay, but how much you are actually hedging? Wait, I will make this number closer. Minus how much you are actually hedging. Just since this is division and you are getting 98.4, that means if you multiply 125 by 98.4, you should get this, right? So since now you are not using 98.4, you are using 98. So just multiply 125,000 by 98, you will get the receipt. Okay, so you just cannot put in this calculator, input more. You have to first delete it, right? On clear. Okay, there's a table for clear. Okay, so you press on this clear. Next you write 98 multiplied by 125,000. Just whenever you enter 0, okay, count how many times you are pressing that 0. This will help you so that you will not get mistake. The number which you put, you will not, sometimes what happens, you might put one less 0 or one more 0. So count the number of zeros. That's what I do. You can never get wrong in your zeros and your final answer. Always count the number of zeros at the end. How many zeros you have to put. So now you see the number. What is it? Just putting the number is not enough. Put the currency in front of it, because sometimes when you don't put the currency, you will get confused whether it's in dollar or it's in Swiss franc. You have to convert, remember. So it will be very hard for you. Always put the currency. So CHF. Okay, 112, okay, comma 250, comma 000. Okay, the way you have put 12.3 million, exactly same way you have to write 12.25 million. Okay, but if I write 12.25 million, it's very hard for you. Some of you might put 10 less or 10 more. That's why I'm writing the whole number, and you also put the whole number. Make it a habit of writing the whole number. Now, what is the difference? It's just, definitely this is something which is easy, right? I don't think you need a calculator for this. So it's 50,000. But in case if someone of you want, you can put it in the calculator and say 50,000. Okay, so this is the difference, 50,000. Okay. Next, what is the fifth? I will not say fifth, I will just put it in the next line. It is the same line only. Okay. So what is this receipt? You have to convert the Swiss franc into dollar because dollar is your home currency. Okay, so the receipt will be, if you have to convert using dollar, okay, sorry, equal to CHF 50,000. How do you convert it? You have to convert it to dollar. So for that you need the rate of future. Or what? Do you need the rate of future? No. You are converting this 50,000 using what? Forward. So you need the forward rate. Which forward you need? I will zoom this a bit so that you can see the rate. 6 months forward or 3 months? Definitely 6 months because we are using 6 month future, so everything is for 6 months. Which rate? This or this? Which rate? We are selling Swiss francs. Same in the forward also, if you see the currency. Just see before you decide. Don't jump whether we are selling or buying Swiss franc forward, okay? First you have to see how it is quoted. Check the currency on the right side, your base currency. Base currency is Swiss franc. And you have to sell Swiss franc to buy dollar. So you are selling Swiss franc. You will be selling Swiss franc at a higher or a lower rate. Definitely at a lower rate. Why? Because you are the one in the worst position. The bank is getting the profit. So you will sell at a lower price, buy at a higher price. Bank will buy at a lower price and sell at a higher price. So the rate is 1.0358. That is the rate. So 1 Swiss franc is equal to 1.0358. That means 50,000 Swiss franc will be how many dollar? So just multiply. Because 1.0358 is 58 is in dollar. Your Swiss franc, 50,000 is Swiss franc. Different currency, multiply. Okay. Definitely in your this, if you put the multiplication sign comes like this. But what you can do is you can just put X, the cross sign, to show that it's multiplication. Okay. So I'm going to multiply it by 1.0358 equal to, okay, just again use your calculator, clear. So 50, 1, 2, 3 multiply by 1.0358, enter 51,790. Now when you write 51,790, it's not Swiss franc. Remember, you have converted it into dollar, so you have to write the dollar sign in front of it. Before you write any number, write the currency. Okay, 51,790. So this much you will be hedging using forward. Now, what's the next step? Next step is calculation of closing future price. Right? Because if you don't find the closing future price, how will you find the profit or loss in the future? Right? Calculation of future price or closing future price. This I will write it in bold because this is second subheading. We have a lots of working for this. Now if you see, what did I do? Okay, so now I can undo it. Calculation of future price, I will make it in bold, put it down. Now, so assume that basis reduces to zero at constant maturity in linear fashion. Okay, this assumption it is understood. Okay, so even if you write or don't write, it will not make an impact. That basis risk will reduce to zero at the expiry of future. But in the answer, it is written. Okay, and there are two ways how they have calculated future prices. I am going to show you both the ways, but in the answer, write any one of it. The reason why I'm showing you both the method is some of you might understand the first method, some of you might understand the second method. So it's up to you. So what is the formula? That table, remember that table which we make at this date, this is the price and the spot and then the basis risk and then the closing date. I'm not going to make that table. We are going to write it. Okay. So the predicted future price at the end of May, or you can write closing future price. Simply just write closing future price. It's understood. Okay. Closing future price is equal to. Okay. What is it? What is the formula for it? I need my future price in front of me. Okay. One method is you compare the spot with the future, opening future. Okay. This spot here, this spot over here. Oh, everything is underlined. This is, you have to put, okay. So this with this spot and this which I have highlighted, the June future. Okay, that is the second method, which is more correct method, which I normally follow. Okay, but the first method, according to this, is what they are doing is they are taking the future price of March and June. They're comparing March and June. Okay, so in fact, I'm going to write method 1. So it's more easy for you to understand. They are taking March and June future. They are adding the March future price. What is the future price of March? 1.0345 plus okay, plus what? Plus find the difference between the March and the June. Okay, in bracket. Okay, 1.0369, the June future minus the latest future minus the old future. You can understand it that way, minus 1.0345, because some of you might be in a confusion whether it's March future minus June future or June future minus March future. It is always the latest minus the old. Okay, so 1.0369 minus 1.0345. Close the bracket. Make sure this is in bracket. Okay, multiply by, you have to multiply. I'm going to put the cross. I multiply by what? See, when you're taking the June future, okay, it is ending on when? May, right? 31st of May. The closing date, if you forgot, you can just open your exhibit 1 and see. It is 31st of May 2009 when they will get the payment, the receipt, the closing date, 31st May 2009. So just compare from March to June. Sorry, March to May. Okay. So April, May, just 2 months. But if it's from May to June, I'm sorry, from March to June, okay, the denominator is from March to June, it is 3 months, April, May and June. But from March to May, it is just 2 months. That's why the fraction is 2 over 3. 2, 2 divided by 3. Okay, equal to. Now, just see how to use a calculator for this, okay. Bring forward your calculator. for this type of things where you have multiplication also, deduction also, addition also. So I'm going to clear all this. Okay. First we'll put the normally as it is 1.0345 plus, then I'm going to put the bracket, then 1.00369 minus 1.0345, close the bracket, multiply 2 divided by 3. The division, how am I going to show? You can put it like this. This is the sign for division. Okay, n over d. There will be a sign on a calculator. I hope you can see on my screen. So it's 2 and go down. When you have to go down, just press the down arrow, because when you click on the down, it will not go down. Okay, 2 3, or you can enter also rather than clicking here. 2 over 3, enter. So you will get the answer. Make sure that you have to put the bracket here. Okay, if you don't put the bracket, your answer will be totally wrong. It will, that they will not follow the bottommost then. Okay, so the answer is, correct answer is 1.0361 as shown on your calculator screen. Okay, let's do it without the calculator, without the bracket, to show you the error. 345. Okay, it's much faster for you to put the enter the number by typing rather than clicking on the screen. 0345 plus 1.0369 minus 1.0345 multiply by 2 divided by 3. Do you see this? Just that bracket makes a lot of difference, error. Okay, let us do the other way, the division part. Okay, so 1.0345 plus the bracket 1.03. So when you have to clear, just delete. Okay, don't press the clear. Okay, the moment you press the clear button, it will clear everything out. When you want to delete one number, just press delete. It's good that I'm making this mistake here. See, I've deleted everything, so it went. It's good to make all those errors while you're practicing and see. So in the exam, you can stop these mistakes. Minus 1.0345, close the bracket, multiply by, now I am not putting the normal, that division, okay, which I have used n over d. Now press enter. Still you will get the same answer. So that means you just have to put the bracket. That's it. 1.0361. This is, you have to use this rate and convert the receipt in future to what? To what? You have to convert to dollar. You have in Swiss franc, right? Because in forward we converted this. Just see this. Rather, when you have to bold out something or make something important, bold out. You can highlight it or you can bold it. Bold. Or it's better to highlight. Bold and highlight. It's good. Okay, so I will highlight it. If you see, it's not okay. Okay, it's not being highlighted. Doesn't matter, we can keep it in bold. So it is in dollar, the receipt. In future also, now you have the closing future price, now you can convert into dollar. So the receipt, expected, it is expected receipt actually, okay, because you actually haven't got the receipt, but we'll write it receipt, does not matter. CHF, okay, 12 250. Why 250? Why not 12.3? Because see, we are going to hedge this much only, 12,250. The remaining 50,000 we are hedging using forward. So we cannot hedge the 12.3 million, the full, using future. You have to be very alert, okay? What is going? Sometimes it's easy for you to forget and just put 12.3 million because we forgot that we are going to hedge 50,000 by using forward. This is in Swiss franc, okay? So you, and that one was in dollar. Multiply 1.0361, the rate which we got, equal to, okay, I'm sure for that you can use your calculator, and the answer is this, dollar 12,692,225. So this is the answer. Now the outcome, okay, outcome bold. Under outcome, what am I going to write? Definitely the whole scenario, forward and future, okay. You can either, okay, so guys, one thing you have to remember when you try to tab, okay, the tab does not work here, okay, that spaces will not come. So either you can press the space bar and it will go like this, okay. So make sure that you put the currency on top, or you can write the currency in front of it. So future and forward, what amount I'm going to use using future. Remember, this forward is not that forward, okay, because we told exchange traded derivative. This forward we are putting here because that 50,000 which was not hedged using future, we are hedging using forward, only to show that 50,000 we are showing forward over here, okay. So don't get confused. So now how much you're using through future? This much. Just copy paste it. How much you are using forward? This much. So just copy paste it. And what should I do? What am I going to do here? Add both. Simply add both, okay. So you can add both, and once you add both, the answer is 12. Or what am I going to do is underline, okay, just underline because I don't have, okay. Next I'm going to press the space bar, put the dollar sign. But all these things, calculations and all this calculations, if you put in Excel, it will be much faster, okay. So just add the two, the total amount to be hedged, 12,744,015. Okay, now you can underline it. Underline. You need to select to underline it. Okay, it's underline like this. There is no double underlining, it's just single underlining. Okay. Another way how you can get the closing future price. So this will not have an impact on your forward. Remember, your forward will be 51,790 only by using method 2 of closing future price, but your future will change. Okay. So I guess I can do the method sideways. No, it's better I will show it down only. So all this I can just copy paste. I will just change the numbers. See, you have to be smart enough, okay? Just wherever you can copy paste something, just copy paste it. Writing it down. So I'm just going to copy paste it down. Okay. What am I going to do is just going to change this method 1 to method 2. That's it. And the closing future price. Okay. What is it? Now I'm going to use a spot rate only. What am I going to use? The spot rate. What is the spot rate? So definitely I'm going to sell. If I'm going to sell in future, sell in the forward and using this currency, the first one. So definitely in the spot also it will be this only, this rate only. Okay. Because for forward, this was the rate I used. So again, you don't have to think this, that, or this. I'm going to compare 1.0292 with this rate, 1.0369, the June future. Okay. And I also follow the second method because I feel it's much easier to do the second. You just compare the opening future with the spot. It's much easier because we have been taught that way by BBB textbook. So now I'm going to use in terms of the March future. So what they did in method 1, instead of spot, they took the March as spot. Right? That's what they did. So 292. 1.0292. Okay, I've just changed this. And next, what I have to change? This. This will be as it is, but this will change. This will be spot now. 292. Next, the fraction will change. Okay, what is the fraction now? What will be the fraction now? Since you are using spot, spot is, what is the date today? It was given as 30th November. So from November to June, what is it? 7 months. Because from November to May, right? It was 6 months. So definitely one extra month will be 7 months. And total is 6 months because from November to May. From November to May, it was 6 months. From November to June, 7 months. So you multiply now by 6/7. It changed. Okay. I'm sorry, I have used the fraction in the wrong place. It's here. Multiply by 6/7. And the rate will change. Okay. You can use the calculator and find out the rate. The rate is, now if you see, the rate will be different. Okay. It is 1.0358. 1.0358. So what will be the rate? It is 12 to 50 only, because whether first method or second method, under forward you are using 50,000 only. Okay, this rate will change. 358. There is not much difference between the two rate, only by small amount. Okay, this is comma, sorry, it's full stop. So this will change. This will change to 12,688, 550. So now I have the answer for both the method. What will be the outcome? So the outcome will be, okay, I'm just going to copy paste this. So the future outcome will be 688, 550, and this will be 51,790. So the total price will be how much? 12,740. 340. Okay. So this is with future. We are done with future. The next is we have to do what? Option. One thing is for sure, if you have understood while practicing, okay, if you have understood futures, if you are very good with future, you are going to be definitely good in options. There is no doubt in that. The only addition in option is whether you have to go for call and put option. Okay, and the other thing is premium, calculation of premium. That's it. Because future and option works in very similar way. Number of contract to find the closing future price. That closing future price you will be needing it for options as well. So you have to be very good in future for you to be good in options. Okay, the next is what? Option. Option is the next. Okay, bold it here when you go to option. Okay, just see, are they going for a call option or put option? First you have to decide that. Okay, here the option does not come whether they are buying or selling. Definitely they are going to buying only, they are going to buy the option, but the question comes as whether call or put option. How will you decide that? There are, first you have to decide whether it's a receipt and a payment. Okay, and just check the currency. It is quoted in Swiss franc. The currency which you are buying or selling, it has to be in that contract currency. Okay, so it is 125, it is in Swiss franc, and you are selling Swiss franc, so you are selling Swiss franc. Okay, you are selling Swiss franc means it's a put option. Okay, so you are buying the put option. The other way you could look is, what is it, which is a little more complicated. I don't think I should say put and call. Okay, I think we can leave it, it's okay. But I have made a table that if it's a borrowing, it's this option, right? If it's a borrowing, it's the call option. I'm sorry, if it's a borrowing, it's a put option, and if it's a receipt, it's a call option. But here, if you see, this is a receipt and it's a put option, the other way around. Why? Because of this currency. It depends on the, look at the contract size. Which currency is the contract size? It will tell you. Let's assume this is same call and put. If you go by the method which I have taught you, that for receipt, it's call. Whenever it's a foreign receipt, it's a call. But just look at the contract size. If this was in dollar, then you can pick call. We go by the normal rule, you can pick up call because receipt is call. But here we cannot go by the call option for receipt. That's why it's important to go by the other method. The second method is you have to see the currency also, contract size. If this was in dollar, yes, you can go by call option. But this is in Swiss franc and you are selling Swiss franc, so it's a put option. Okay, so name the company also. N company. Just don't forget to remove your the bold and underline. Sorry, just okay. It's underlined, so you have to remove it. Okay, wait a minute. Yes, it's removed. Okay, and company would purchase or buy what? Write the currency. CHF. Which one? December, March, June. As for the future, June. Okay, you have to write the currency also. Just writing future or option is not enough. June future, June option. You have to write Swiss franc June put option. Put options. Now, this is number one for option. Okay, number one step. Whatever you do for future, same steps follow. Okay, there also we told is June future. Here we told is June put option. Number 2, there we find the number of contract. Here also number of contract. But are we going to calculate number of contract here again? No. Why? Already calculated a future. And the good thing is calculation in option takes much less time compared to future, because in future we have to find the basis rates and the closing future price and then the gain or loss. But here we don't have to. Why? Because already whatever things we have calculated for future, the closing future price, the number of contracts, same we can use for option as well. Because look at the contract size of future and option, it is 125,000. It always be same, it will always be same, so you don't have to worry. So a question does not come what if it's different. It will never be different. It could be different in real life, but for your exam purpose, they don't make it different. Next, what is the number of contract in future? It was 98. Here also it will be 98. So number of contracts, 98 as before. You don't have to write the reason, okay? That the contract size was this much, that's why it's this much. No need of all those reasons. Just say as before, that's it. Here, if you are using 98 contract, that means definitely the whole amount you cannot hedge, the 12.3 million. So here also amount not hedged will be hedged by using forward as before. Okay, so amount, unhedged amount, you can say unhedged amount hedged by forward CHF, the Swiss franc translated as how much it was, $51, same, because here also the difference will be 51,000 Swiss franc only as before. Okay, whenever you're taking from before the future, just write mention as before, that's it. It's understood that you have taken it from future. Now two things you have to do: assuming options are exercised, assuming options are not exercised. Okay, so assuming options are exercised, first let's assume that options are exercised. Okay, what do I do? What do I do? Just add all. Receipt, you can put it in line, horizontally also you can add, vertically also you can add, that's up to you. Okay, but I'm doing it vertically. Here remember, premium you have to calculate. Premium we didn't calculate. Okay, for that a separate working is there, for receipt a separate working is there, and for forward this usually comes at the end. Okay, the three lines, but I'm putting it first. Why? Because the main answer always you have to put in the beginning. Workings and all you have to put after your main answer. Definitely you'll be doing the workings first, that's why keep some space so that you write these lines and then do your working, and whatever the answers you get in your working, just copy paste here, that's it. That's the reason I'm trying to display, I'm trying to show you that first when you write answer, you are not writing your workings first and then your main answer. No, 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 no. Your main answer you're writing first, then comes your working. That's why I'm writing this first. Okay, so forward, from now itself we can write 51,790. Receipt and premium we have to calculate. This will be working 1 and working 2. Okay, W1 and W2. So this I'll just put it here so that all are in the same aligned. Do you see? I am taking care of the accuracy of my calculation and also the presentation. How I'm presenting my number, how I'm labeling it. You have to work out on all these things. You are putting your receipt on somewhere else, your forward is on somewhere else. It's true you're adding all the three numbers, but there have to be some consistency, right? So you have to take care of your presentation. Usually when you write and all, it's easier. That's why typing and all takes much time. That's why you have to practice a lot here. Twice the time you have practiced in paper, you have to practice in your CBE platform if you want to pass in the first attempt. Now what am I going to do? Workings. Working. For workings, there's a separate place, okay? Which comes under after. I will hold it. So working, even your workings also, just don't start doing your working. Number it. I have put two workings, working 1 and working 2. So number it. Working 1, label your workings. Receipt. Label it. When you cross reference, even for the examiner, it's very easy, trust me. They can easily cross reference. Even if you have done some working mistake in your main answer, if some mistake, let's say one number less you have put or one extra zero you have put in your main answer, but if your working is there, you will get that mark. Only you will lose 1 mark, but you will get the marks for your working. So your workings are always your backup. Okay, label it. If you don't label it, it's very hard to know which working is for which one. If there are multiple workings like this one, receipt, same way how we have done for future, convert it into dollar. So to convert into dollar, CHF, it's not 12.3 million, it is 12.250, right? But here what do you have to do? Here you have to multiply this, the contract size 125,000 by the number of contract, and then you have to multiply by the exchange rate to convert into dollar. Okay, 125,000 multiply by how many contracts? 98 contracts. Multiply by what? This is in Swiss franc. Swiss franc 125,000 into 98. Now when you want to convert into dollar, what are you using? Exercise price. Exactly, exercise price 1.0375. just see the exercise price. So 1.0375. No spot, no future. It is your exercise price, because we are assuming options are exercised. When we are assuming options are exercised only, we use the exercise price, equal to, right? So it will be dollar. Now it is in dollar. Do you see? Here if I don't put dollar, it will be understood as Swiss franc. Why? Because here I have put Swiss franc. That's why currency is very important. Because the question itself is currency risk management. So you have to put currency. 12,709,375. Okay. You can either put comma after the 3 digits, or you can put the number as it is. 12709,375 with no spaces in between, but I would prefer, it's better to put the commas in between after the 3 digits, because it looks, you can read the figure much faster, and it's easier for you to make it look less messy and all, right? It looks more professional, also easier to read, and you will have less chance of making any error if you separate it by three digits. But again, it's your wish, so it's okay. It's not compulsory that you have to follow this only. It's just I'm showing you how to present your numbers. Next is your number 2. Again, number it. Number 2 is your premium. So since here I have bolded, here also I will bold it, because I told consistency. Okay. Don't forget to remove the bold. What do you have to do here? Same, see, exercise price is 1 here. Okay, so here the question does not come which exercise price. It is 1.0375 only. Here also it will be 125. Okay, CHF 125,000 multiply by, because I follow consistency, so I'm going to follow that. Multiply by how many contracts? 98 contracts, but multiply by what? What is the premium rate? It's a put option and it's June, so it is 0.86. Can you multiply 0.86 as it is? Can you multiply 0.86 as it is? The question is no. First you have to divide it by 100. Why? Because this is US cents, my dear friends. Premium, it is US cents. You have to convert it into dollar to get the answer in dollar. Otherwise, the whole answer will be in cents. Or one thing is, you can multiply by 0.86. You can take the premium as it is, but finally don't forget to divide your answer by 100 if you want your answer to be in dollar. That also could be done. Okay, but we are going to take the cents because US, because this is in cents, so we'll convert the cents into dollar. Simple. Okay, which will be 2 additional zeros before 8. Okay, just divide 0.86 by 100, it will be 0.0086. Okay, equal to, I'm not, and just to mind you that I'm not using the calculator now because all these calculations, I have shown you how to use the calculator. Now you'll be able to use the calculator, right? Just check the answers. I'm just putting the answers. Okay, 105 comma 350. So what should I do now? I have my workings. Straight away go and copy paste this. Copy, paste, copy with the currency. Okay, paste. This is also in dollar. Sorry, dollar. It's in not, can you see it's not in one line? So I will make sure that it comes in one line. Okay, 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 okay. I will keep this one. I will bring the forward here. Now do you see it looks more neat, more professional, and right? But one additional thing you have to do is what? Additional thing is you have to show the bracket sign for premium. It's a receipt. You have to deduct your premium. Premium is a receipt. Okay. Premium is, I'm sorry, premium is a payment. So from receipt you deduct the payment and add the forward also. Now underline and you have to remove your underline before you press the space bar. The dollar. Each time you don't have to put a dollar, you can just put the dollar sign on top and then just write the number. Okay. So it will be 12 comma 655 comma 815. Okay, it's better I bring this on this underline. Okay. What is next? So just check the receipt. Here the total receipt is 12,655,815. Here it is 12,740 in future. So which one is giving you the higher receipt? That one was the question. 12,744. Anyway, even under both future, if you use any of the closing future price, future is giving you the higher price compared to options when you exercise the option. So that means what does it imply? That exercising the option is not beneficial because future is giving you the higher receipt. Okay, let us see what the answer says. So here you can write the option would give the higher receipt if they were not exercised. If option is not exercised, then it would give the higher receipt. Why? Take out the premium out. Only the premium is your payment. And your receipt, you will not convert using exercise price. You will convert using spot rate. Okay. So the answer says the option would give the higher receipt. That means higher than the future also if they were not exercised. If they were not exercised and the spot rate moves sufficiently in the company's favor. If the company allowed the option to lapse, it would allow the same receipt as under the future. Okay. So this you have to write. Why the option would give the higher receipt? Here they didn't calculate if they would have not exercised. Here they have told if the option were exercised, but they are saying if option was not exercised, it would give a higher receipt. How are they saying this? How can you say this? Just look at the spot and the just compare the exchange rates. Okay, if you see the spot, right, what was our main thing? Just open your future and see. We want to hedge against dollar strengthening. Okay, what does it imply? Dollar strengthening means, wait a minute, just give me some time. Okay, 0.0358. Okay, so just check out the exercise price and the spot. Okay, the spot is 1.0292 and the exercise price is 1.0375. Okay, that means 1.0292 per dollar. Right, dollar is equals to 1 Swiss franc and 1.0 now 1.0375 is the equal to 1 Swiss franc. We want to hedge against dollar strengthening. That means if dollar depreciates, it's good, it's in favor of the company. So dollar is depreciating or appreciating from 1.0292 to 1.0375. It is depreciating. If you see, dollar is depreciating, right? Because the spot is 1.0292 and this is one, the price went up. If you see, dollar went up, dollar per Swiss franc. So Swiss franc appreciated but dollar depreciated. So and we want to hedge against dollar strengthening. So if dollar depreciates, it's going for the company, the exchange rate is moving for the company. So that means, that shows that if you don't exercise the option, you are in favor. Why? We exercise the option only when dollar strengthening, dollar exchange rate is going against us. Why? We want to hedge. But if the dollar is already moving in favor of us, why do we want to hedge? We can take the benefit of lower interest, lower exchange prices, right? That means we'll get higher receipt when we convert. That's the reason they are saying when you don't exercise the option, it's good. Because look at the exchange rate, it's going in the favor. You can benefit from the option when the prices go down. Okay, because if you see the future, just see the future price also, 1.092, 1.0369, 1.0375, it depreciated more with options than the future. That's why if you don't exercise the option, all these are logic, you cannot calculate each and everything and then say okay. Just compare the prices, the future, the option exercise price and the spot, right? So that's why option is giving you the best receipt. But if you want, you can test this. Definitely in the main exam, I would not advise you to do it because you will not have time also to go through that. But when you are practicing, please make sure you can put one or two $10 equals to 1 Swiss franc, like that. You can do calculations, convert it into dollar and see which one is giving you the higher dollar under which exchange rate. Then you will be able to understand it better. You understanding what I'm saying? So put any imaginary numbers and try it by yourself. You will get the answer. You will understand what I'm trying to say. Options will, if you don't exercise the option, you will get the higher receipt. So I've spent so much of time in that. Okay. So what you have to write? You have to write this, okay? Don't stop with the calculation part. You have to write because the question asks which will give you the higher result. The option would give the higher receipt if they were not exercised. Because the reason why? Because of the premium. When we exercise, we have the premium also. And the spot rate moved sufficiently. You have to talk about this, all these rates and all. Spot rate moved in the company's favor. Okay? In N company's favor. You cannot see because of this what I am typing, okay? In N company's favor. If company allowed, okay, the option to lapse. Lapse means they are not exercising, okay? It would obtain the same receipt as under futures. If US dollar Swiss franc spot rate was X. So now we have to find that X such that how are you going to find that X? How are you going to find the X? So we have calculated two future prices, right? Using two different closing prices. So now we are going to use both. 12. The first future price was, you can go up and check, 225. 12692225 equal to, okay? Now, so under this one, 250, because we are taking 250 in the future. minus the premium. See, premium, whether irrespective of whether you exercise or not, premium you have to deduct. That's why we are deducting premium from here. Why we are taking X? Because 1250. Okay, the 1250,000 is in, it is in Swiss franc. So you multiply it by the exchange rate. That is X, which we have to find. We don't know the exchange rate. Minus the premium. Okay, so we know how to make the X the subject, and then we can find the X. X will be equal to, what will it be equal to? US dollar 1.0447 equal to 1 Swiss franc. And if you are taking the other same way, I'm not going to write it here. If you are using the other future, which was 12,688,550, okay, just wait a minute. Yes, which was 12,688,550, then X will be 1.0444. Okay, X equal to 1.0444. So this rate and this one. So they are saying the option would give the higher receipt if they were not exercised and spot rate moved in the company's favor. If the option allowed to lazy, it would remain the same receipt as under options, futures. Okay, if this was the rate, then it would receive the same, the future and the option would receive the same receipt. That's why we found all this X, to show at which rate the receipt will be same, right? And if option is not exercised, then option is better. If option is exercised, future is better. So all the three conditions scenario they have given to you. Now let us read the requirements again to see whether we have understood the requirements and whether we have answered it completely. Evaluate which of the exchange rate derivative would give the higher receipt, considering scenarios when options are and are not exercised. Okay, so we have done, I think we have done full justice to that, right? Remember, we didn't comment yet. We just evaluate. We just give some scenarios. We found the numbers, the rates, but we didn't comment. For that, another section. Don't forget to add this section, especially for exchange rate risk, right? It's for other areas also, but for this area, we will have a comment section. We have to comment on the all the three methods: forward, future, and this thing. So now you have to write. How are you going to write? You can start with anything, whether option is exercised or not, with about futures and all. This is like a conclusion. You are giving recommendation. Okay, so basically it's like a summary. If option is exercised, which one is giving the higher method? If option is not exercised, which one is giving you the higher method? Okay, so if the option are exercised, okay, futures would give the higher receipt. We just saw that. Okay, now you have to say why that option is giving you the lower receipt. See, the question, the requirement itself is for 12 marks. Okay, so you have to write a plenty enough in the comments. It's not just one line that option is lowest, sorry, the receipt is highest when option is not exercised, therefore we should not exercise option and go for the future. You cannot say in one or two lines like this. You have to give why something is giving a higher receipt or why something is giving a lower receipt. So options give a lower receipt. Why? Because of premium. It is as simple as that. Nothing you have to think so much to come up with a sophisticated answer and all. Okay, because of premium. Don't think of so complex answers and sophisticated. Okay, keep your answer simple so that is easy for you to remember also. Just premium is enough because of the premium. You can even mention, okay, the premium and the numericals. Now you're talking about the future. Basically, in the comments, what you are doing is you are giving the evaluate. The word evaluate means pros and cons. You are giving the pros of one thing, pros and cons of options and future. So now you have to give, you talk about future. Now you're done with options. Once you're done with something, okay, come to the next. On one hand, you are saying future would give a higher receipt. Correct? Now you are giving the cons of the future. What are the disadvantages of futures? One line, see, one line is enough. Okay, one advantage, one disadvantage is more than enough. Futures will be subject to what? Subject to basis risk. Remember, we have basis risk. What is the basis risk? It's okay, you don't have to write it, but the basis risk is the difference between the future price and the spot rate. Okay, that it may not decrease linearly as the future approach maturity as assumed in the above calculations. Subject to basis risk. Okay, may not decrease linearly as mentioned above. So what does it mean? This will mean what? What does it mean? You always have to mention what each statement you are making means. Okay, this will mean, I'm sorry, not mention, this will mean that the hedge of Swiss franc 12,250,000 because only 50,000. Okay, you will be hedging it using forward. So the remaining you are using it in the future. Is what? Imperfect. Isn't it imperfect? And the receipt may be unpredictable. You have to talk about the receipt. Okay, because of this now the receipt becomes what? If it's imperfect, then the receipt may be unpredictable. Despite a future hedge being taken out. So the options can also be allowed to lapse for some reason the contract is not completed. If for some reason the contract is not completed, option can be allowed to lapse. If this happens, the company will only have to settle the forward contract. So the next paragraph, you can talk about options. Okay. Option can, here we are talking if you don't exercise the option can also be lapsed or be allowed to be lapsed. Anything. If contract is not completed for some reason. You don't have to mention the reason, what reason, any reason. Okay, if this happens, then what will happen? The end company, okay, the end company will only have to settle what? See, you are not exercising the option. Okay, let's say you are not taking future. Okay, you are going by the option, but you are not exercising the option. Then what do you have? You only have to settle the forward contract because you're not going by future. Even the option you are allowing it to lapse. So what is remaining is only the forward that you have to settle. Forward contract. Okay. So with this, part A is over. This is how. Okay, I can just show you an overview of the answer. Just see how it is. How many steps I did under future. So just take a copy paste or practice questions, enough questions using the same consistency and same method what I have told you. Okay, maybe some differences will be here and there depending on the case study, but apart from that, leaving the differences, if you see the risk management question, options, future is the same only, the way you start and end. Next, coming to part B. Now part B, I'm not writing the answer, okay, that you can do for yourself, just I'm telling you. Okay, let us go through the requirements, how to start and write. Benefits and drawbacks of using forward, compare with over the counter currency options. Over the counter currency options, highlight it, okay, and explain. So there are two things. First, you have to discuss the benefits and drawbacks of forward compared to over the counter currency option. That is the first. And second is why the company may prefer exchange traded rather than over the counter derivatives. So two things you have to answer. How are you going to answer these two things and how are you going to start about it? Okay, so I'm just going to, first you can start with the benefits. For this, separate paragraph using a subheading, benefits of forward contract. Okay, you start like this. You can even bold it out. It's okay, it's up to you. You can decorate, do anything. Okay, under this, it's for 7 marks. Okay, so let's say 2 or 3 benefits you are giving. Okay, you have to balance out the 7 marks between the two requirements. Okay, so benefits, let's say you are given 2 or 3. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, let's say 3 benefits. So you are giving in 3 separate lines, you are giving the benefits. Okay, and don't forget to keep space between them. Keep a space so that examiner knows that you are telling first line is for first point, second line is for second point, third line is for third benefit. Okay, so what are the some benefits? It does not have premium upfront like options. That is one benefit. Okay, it gives a certain receipt and this will help for budgeting. That could be a second benefit. Third benefit could be it is simple to understand. Okay, next after that you can write drawbacks. Okay, this is just a layout I'm giving you. Here you can fill out your answer. Drawbacks of forward contract. Let's say here also you are giving 1 or 2 points or depend. Okay, you can give as, but remember 7 marks does not mean you are giving 7 or 6 advantages and only 1 drawback. No, definitely they will not ask a question where there is only 1 drawback and 6 7 advantages. Okay, so try to balance that out also. 3 here, 4 here, or 2 there, 5 there, it's okay, but it should not be something that on, okay, on something you are writing too much, on something you are writing too less. It should not be like that. So the drawbacks we know. Okay, credit risk is high. The other party could default because this is not exchange traded derivative. Okay, and for the rest you can just see the answer. Next, the third paragraph using third subheading, reasons, because that the requirement asked reasons why exchange exchange. Okay, you have to proofread your own spellings. Okay, they will not correct your spelling mistakes like how normal MS Word does. So reasons why exchange traded derivatives are used. Sorry, are used. Derivative spelling is wrong. Okay, it's okay, does not matter. So you can give one. It depends. Okay, how many reasons you will give? How will you know? It depends on how many advantages and drawbacks you wrote, because you have to write 7 points. That means 7 marks. It could be like this. You are writing three benefits and 3 drawbacks and 1 point, or it could be you're writing 2 benefits and 2 drawbacks. That leaves you with 3 marks. So you're writing 3 reasons why exchange traded derivatives are used. Somehow you have to make up to 7 point. Okay, together with the benefits and the drawbacks and the reasons. That's how you answer. I hope you're understanding it. So I'm not writing the reason. Okay, it could be 1 reason, it could be 2 reasons. So you write the reasons. in one paragraph or two paragraph. Okay. Next, I'm going to part C. This is over. Part C. What is part C is asking? And for part C, I have to do some calculation is required. Otherwise, I was not going to do part C. But then I can say some calculations are required. Explain to non-executive director about market to market. Okay. So, and also calculations. You have to illustrate with calculations. See, whenever they say illustrate your explanations with calculations means it's you are giving an example. Okay. Sometimes they might not give you numbers. They might just tell you to illustrate. There you have to use some numbers, imaginary numbers. You have to come up with some numbers. Okay. So for that we have to open this. We have to open this because you can see in the second paragraph some numbers are there. I'm going to zoom out. Wherever it's unclear for you to read, zoom. Okay. Sorry, zoom out. Okay, so this should be enough. So second paragraph they are talking about. Second paragraph, first paragraph they are talking about is not important. You can read it. Okay, let us start with the second paragraph. So non-executive director has heard about the mark-to-market process and want to understand the terminology involved and how the process works using the transaction with Swiss customer as an example. Treasury Department has supplied relevant information to answer his query. The contract specification for the Swiss franc future contract states that an initial margin. Okay. So this is the initial margin. I'm going to highlight. A contract is required. Okay. Next, maintenance margin. Okay, the tick size on the contract. So what is the tick size? All this matters. Okay, you need all this information. Okay, tick size, tick value. Sometimes you don't need some information. Okay, you can assume that on the first day when the company holds future contracts, the loss per contract. So already on the first day the loss per contract is this much. That is on the first day. So using this number you have to illustrate. Okay. Now first you have to define what is it. Remember in the case study they told that they want to understand the terminology. That means before you even illustrate with calculations, this is the reason I'm showing you this answers. Okay, before you even illustrate using calculations, first you have to define what is mark to market. So you cannot first do calculations and then define mark to market. No, there has to be some logic in your answers. Okay, definitely we always start with the definition or introduce someone with that concept and then we start illustrating. That's how we normally explain people. So here also you have to do the same. Okay, so this is for timing. Okay, it's not needed. I will close it down. So explain. Okay, the question asks, the requirement starts with explain how the process works. But in your answer, remember, they have told including the significance of the data. You have to talk about the data also, whether it is important, whether it's not important. Okay, by the Treasury Department. And then you have to illustrate. So there are three requirements. Explain, significance of data, illustrate. Okay, for 6 marks. So now we can close this down. Okay. So this answer. Explain. So I'm not going to write the explanation. You can write it for yourself, but I'm going to dictate what is it. Okay. So the mark to market process begins with the company having to deposit an amount. It's like a deposit amount. You're depositing some amount. Okay. The initial margin in bracket, write it initial margin. Okay. In a margin account with the future exchange. When it takes out the future. So when you open the future position, that day you deposit, that is known as initial margin in the margin account. The margin account will remain open as long as the futures are open. So the profit or loss on the future is calculated daily. So daily you calculate profit or loss when you close the future position. and margin account also will be adjusted with this profit or loss. Okay, so the maintenance margin. Next, now you have defined what is mark to market process, how it works. About the profit or loss you have to talk about. Third, you have to talk about the maintenance margin also. So the maintenance margin is, what is it? Minimum balance which has to be maintained on the margin account. That means below that level it cannot fall. Let's say your initial margin was 1000 and your maintenance margin is 500. That means if your margin account falls to 400, which is below 500, then again you have to deposit 100 to make it 500. It cannot fall below maintenance margin. That's what it means. Minimum balance has to be there. That's the minimum, and it has to be maintained. Okay, if the losses on the futures are so large that the balance on the margin account is less than the, see that they are explaining, you have to talk about this. If the loss, okay, how will your maintenance, how will your account fall below maintenance only when you are making huge amount of losses? The loss you make, your margin you take out from your margin account. Okay, so if the losses on the futures are large, balance on the margin account is less than the maintenance margin, then the future exchange will make a demand. What that is known as margin call. It's an extra payment, and that extra payment is known as variation margin. All these terms is there in the textbook, you can go through it. Okay, to increase, why that variation margin is to increase the balance on the account back to the maintenance margin. I have given an example of where margin account fall below 500. 500 was your maintenance margin, it fell to 400, so you have to make a 100 margin call to make it to 500. From 400 to 500, that 100 is known as variation margin. Okay, extra payment you have to make of 100 to bring it back to 500. Now through example we are going to show this. We have the calculations, we have the numbers. Okay, so that calculation I'm going to write. Okay, what is the initial margin? This is how I'm going to illustrate. Okay, initial margin is equal to, what is the initial margin? They have told is 1,450 per contract. The contract, how will you get the contract? They didn't tell, but we have calculated when we were doing future. 98 contract, right? So that only, not 98.4, 98 only. Contract size has number of contracts should always be whole number. Okay, not decimals. So it is $1450 multiplied by 98, because 98 was number of contract, so equal to dollar. Okay, just look at the currency, it is in dollar. Okay, so now don't think about Swiss franc and all, it's not needed here. It is 142 100. Next, maintenance margin. What is the maintenance margin they told? Maintenance margin, I can see it is 1360 per contract. So dollar 1360 multiplied by 98 equal to dollar 133 280. Next, what is the next? That means below 13328 cannot fall. Loss. Remember first day they told you are making loss. And loss, when you calculate, they give you the loss per contract. You have to find the loss in ticks. First, you have to find the loss in ticks. How are you going to find the loss in ticks? What was the loss they gave you? 0.0011. So write it. 0.0011. 0011. Okay. Divide by, when you want to find the loss, they told loss per contract. Okay, but the tick size they give you, they gave you the tick size of the contract, not the tick value. You have to take the tick size of the contract, which is 0.0001. Okay, so that means you divide it by 0.0001. of thousandth, okay, equal to 11. Total, make sure that each of this you write it in separate lines, okay. Total loss. Loss in tick is not enough, you have to convert to total loss, okay. So total loss will be 11 ticks, it is known as ticks, okay, that 11. Multiply by, what is the tick value? It is given as 12.5. So dollar 12.5. Dollar 12.5. Always check, okay? Check your screen whether the number you are writing is correct or not. Multiply by 98 contracts. So equal to dollar. What is it? You have to write, okay, initial margin in dollar, maintenance margin in dollar, total loss in dollar, but not the loss in ticks, okay? 3475. Now what is the balance on margin account? But all this calculation comes after you have explained, okay? Maintenance on margin account. $142. What was the initial margin? 142. Now from initial margin you deduct your loss. 13,475. Basically whatever the calculations you are doing, you are explaining it in words, okay? So equal to dollar. Now see what happened. 128, 625. If you see, it fell below maintenance margin, the balance of the margin account. So what should you do? This is less than the maintenance margin, okay? You have to write it, okay? I'm not writing it, but you write it. This is less than the maintenance margin. So the company would have to deposit an extra, what is it? Extra how much? 133,280 minus 128, 625. Extra $4,655. That is known as variation margin. To bring the balance on the margin account up to the maintenance margin. This line you have to write. You have to write it, okay? It's not enough that you stop with this balance on margin account. Now, alternative solution. What is alternative solution? In the answer, they are also saying that in some exchanges, okay, not all, that sometimes you might have to increase the variation margin up to the initial margin, not maintenance margin also. Okay. So in that case, variation margin would be 13,475. But that's not so important. Okay. So with this, we have also finished. We have completed question number 2 in December 2018 paper. Okay. Now let me close down. Now if I open the word processor, all my answer is saved here. Okay. Now the same thing, before I exit, I wanted to show you that the same thing you could do in spreadsheet also. Okay. But what happens is when you are writing sentences, it becomes more hard. You can write it here, it's okay. But or some of you might do the calculation here, write in word processor and then copy paste to word processor. That also you can do. But I feel that copy pasting takes more time than actually doing everything in the word processor. Okay, so let us do a small thing. I'm not going to do the whole calculation because already it's going to be 2 hours. Okay, it's going to be close to 2 hours. So let's say, okay, the calculation part. So you can just write some like number of contracts, I'm assuming that if you are writing everything, you can just copy paste. Let's see how copy paste works. Let's say I want to copy this. It's not copy pasting. So you see you cannot copy paste, so but at least the calculation part, number of contracts, if I'm writing here, okay, what is it? One 23, 1 2, 1 2 3. Wait a minute. This is the receipt in CHF. Okay, then we have contract size. So now the contract, number of contract, okay, number of contract, if you want to find out, you can just divide this by this and find out, and 98. So for this purpose, calculation purpose is easy. Now let us see whether you can copy this or not. Copy. Okay, copy, paste. Yeah, you can copy paste. Okay, so number of contract. What is the next? Next is, if you want to find out amount unhedged amount. Okay, unhedged amount. Let's say before you find unhedged amount, you definitely have to, but you have to put the equal sign. Okay, if you don't put the equal sign, you cannot write any formula. So this multiply by this. So once you find this, so equal to, you deduct this minus this. Okay, 50,000. Now what is the receipt? You can even write the currency somewhere. Okay, 1.0358. So dollar receipt, so equal to this multiply by this, close the bracket, you get it. Do you see? In this way it is much faster rather than you typing, and then you can copy paste. But ultimately you have to write all this, remainder to be hedged using this, number of contract. But what I'm saying is, for calculation you can do it much faster. Okay, let us see whether we can copy paste this or not. If this we want to put it in a table, edit. No, we can't edit. Okay, let's say copy paste. Let's say we want to copy paste it here. So the table is pasted here, if you see. But when you paste it here, it comes like this. Okay, so you have to be careful for that. Another thing is, let us see whether we can copy paste the screenshot. So this was the screenshot, but don't take screenshots. Okay, which it's not allowed. Okay, you can just undo it. Okay, so what is the next thing that we have to do? We found the receipt. Now also when we want to find the closing future price, I'm just showing it for the one. Okay, same applies for the other one also. So if you want to find the closing future price, but when you do the calculation in Excel, also make sure that you write the proper heading and all. Okay, in case you might have to copy paste, and so that later you don't have to type. Okay, so closing future price, let's say the opening is this. You write it somewhere, opening, and this thing. the spot trade and the opening, and the fraction. Okay. So now when you enter equal to this plus this, you put a bracket. This minus no, I'm sorry. Can you see how much time this is taking? Minus this one, d4 minus d3, close bracket, multiply by 2 over 3 equal to. If you want to see, just say this. You can just multiply 2 over 3 directly. Okay, so don't put this as, they do not take it as fraction, so you multiply 2 over 3 and you will get the same answer. Okay. So I hope the rest all also you can do, even for the option also. Okay. So now it's up to you. You have the option whether you want to copy paste from the spreadsheet to Word and all, but I feel it's better to do it in word processor using the calculator. You can straight away do it rather than copy pasting and all. So that's it. With this, I have completed a question on risk management. I will only do one question for each section. I don't have time to do all the questions. So with this, I hope this will benefit you on how to do a question on risk management, and also I'm going to cover the other areas as well. So I'm left with 3 more sections: risk, acquisition and merger, reconstruction and reorganization, and investment appraisal, which I'm going to do every day. I'm going to cover one question. So see you in my next video and take care.